Thank you. And I was perfectly teed up by Tristan there, leading into social media. And I think one of the interesting things from that presentation was how ready and keen the UK market is for video, digital video. Some of the examples I'll talk about will be global and some will be UK. But really what I'm going to dive into is the TV and film industry. So I work in entertainment partnerships at Twitter here in the UK. So that's working with some of the premium broadcasters, content producers to get their content onto Twitter to the most people. So what I'll go through today is why Twitter and why now, and I hope that even if you're a regular user of Twitter, there'll be some interesting points there about how we're developing, how we're meeting the challenges, and how we're moving into 2017. The second section will be about the UK and what a valuable entertainment audience we have here on Twitter. And the third will be pretty practical about how to win specifically with Twitter video, reaching that audience. So Twitter is quite simply what's happening. So whether it's the madness of the general election, I don't know about you, but I saw the exit poll and then ended up staying up all night with Twitter open throughout, and we actually had the BBC live broadcasting on Twitter their election coverage, or whether it's the terrible events of the fire yesterday morning, Twitter is where people come to find out the latest news straight from the horse's mouth. So whether that's news or sport, the One Love Manchester concert, which again we live streamed on Twitter, or entertainment, TV and film. So Wonder Woman, just an example, it's obviously done incredibly well in cinemas and it's also been the most tweeted film of 2017. So those two successes on Twitter and successes in the real world do go hand in hand. The way that I like to look at Twitter as distinct from the other social networks is its focus. So whereas other social networks might be about me and what I'm doing and where I am, Twitter is about sharing. It's about saying, look at this cool thing, look at this film I've just seen, look at this book I've just read. It's very much about sharing with your audience. It's also the #1 news app in 110 countries. So it's absolutely embedded into the very latest goings on in the world. So as I've said, the key things I think in terms of what Twitter brings to people is speed. It's the first place people go to see what's happening. It's personalised, so it meets your interests. We have so many interesting communities on Twitter, and TV and film really is just one of those. And more than ever, we are premium and we are bringing our audience the access to the best content out there in the world. And then the last piece of the puzzle is that Twitter is conversational. So you're not just consuming content, you're talking about it. So one of the slides that you'll see later is about our live experience, and one of the key things there that we think makes Twitter a different place to experience live streamed content is the fact that there's a curated feed underneath it of the most interesting, the most relevant people talking about that content. So really, live is our focus for 2017, but it's what we've been doing since day one. So whether it's Jack's first tweet, which was immediate out there into the world, or whether it's the plane in the Hudson, which I don't know if you saw the film with Tom Hanks, but that was the biggest picture on Twitter at the time, and it actually used an external service. So what we're doing is bringing all of these content formats into Twitter. So that's video, that's images actually in the Twitter stream, and then the next step was high quality video, and then Periscope and Premium Live. So I'm really glad that David from Sky mentioned our partnership. Sky is a really important partner of ours, and Transfer Deadline Day was one of the biggest live events we've streamed here in the UK. In terms of Twitter's growth, obviously we've been around for 11 years. We celebrated our 11th birthday in March. What we're actually seeing is massive growth in daily active users. So this is from the start of last year, and you can see the graph is very much going in the right direction. We've got more people coming to Twitter than ever before, and they're staying for longer. And we think a big part of that is the live experience and its video. So obviously lots of platforms, as Tristan was saying, there are so many places to experience video, but we think there are things that really mark Twitter out. So in terms of what makes Twitter unique, we think, as I say, it's the conversation around those topics. You don't just watch the video, you share it, you talk about it. Often you talk about it with the people who made it. So there was a tweet about, not that I am obsessed with Wonder Woman at the moment, I'm just going to say it, but there was a tweet from Patty Jenkins, the director, yesterday, where she shared something that she'd been shown about the impact on Wonder Woman on kindergarten kids. And that was something that she could put her own personal spin on the content that she had been shared. So unique access is absolutely crucial to what makes Twitter special, and also opinion and reviews from industry experts. So it's everyone who matters in the film and TV world all in one place. The second part of what I'll talk about today is the audience. So it's not just about who's putting the content out there, it's about who's receiving it and the mindset that they're in when they come to Twitter. So in the UK in particular, we have 22 million monthly active users, which is obviously a huge audience. But they're also a very influential audience. They're not just anybody. Twitter users are opinionated and they share those opinions and people believe them. So we've done a lot of research into how content travels on Twitter and the type of people that share it and the impact that it has. So 20% of Twitter users will share their opinions, but this goes up to 23% when it's film fans. In terms of who's convinced by those opinions, not just hot air, 31% of Twitter users are more likely to convince others, and that goes up to 37% when it's particularly talking about film. But I think the most impressive one in terms of actually getting your content to the widest possible audience through Twitter is sharing. So 15% of Twitter users are more likely than average to tell their family and friends about the new things that they've seen. But when it comes to film, that goes all the way up to 25%. So it's a very powerful jump specifically connected to film. The other thing we see, and that really kind of unlocks the power of the influence of that audience, is the way people approach content on Twitter. So it's what we call a discovery mindset. And it's how open people are when they open Twitter on their phone. They are expecting new things. They're expecting novelty, things that interest them in film, TV, whatever else they're interested in. So they're more likely to come across interesting things, and they're also more likely to remember it. So the research that we've done, it shows kind of 3 key behaviours. So there's people who are seeking something out. So maybe they want to know who won the X Factor, or, you know, for example, the Oscars, who won Best Film. Then they're kind of open to serendipity. They've got follow, you know, hundreds of people on average, what might be in their newsfeed. They're very, very open to what might be there when they open it up. So just to conclude that, it's a very large audience, 22 million people in the UK. They are more influential than average on their social circle, and they also come to Twitter more than other parts of their lives in a mindset where they're ready to discover new things that they can then share. And then in terms of how you actually reach those people successfully, how you get them to remember your content, our biggest focus, and we think your biggest focus, should be video on Twitter. So I'll just lead you through a number of different ways that you can use video to reach people on Twitter. So the most important thing, I think, that I try to get across with the partners that I work with is how premium and safe video is on Twitter, and that we can prove that it's viewed by humans rather than bots. So 99.6% of ads on Twitter are viewed by humans, and we also, because we work in this premium space, it's completely brand safe, and the content that the ads are against is premium too. Again, video and ads seen on Twitter are seen as more relevant, and they're also remembered more. So the studies that we've done show that the norm for online video is much bigger. So sorry, the amount that people see video as relevant to them on Twitter is 53% more than the norm, and people remember it 80% more than the norm. what we also see is that shorter content can make just as much of an impact. So a 15-second advert on Twitter is as effective as an advert that's twice as long on television in terms of memory encoding. This is because of the discovery mindset that I just described, and also to do with the speed of content on Twitter and the amount that they're seeing. They're very open to getting more content in a shorter space of time. So the main part of what I do is sponsorships. So this is the way that we bring together premium content and advertisers. It's something that the US office of Twitter has been doing for about 2 years, and that we've been really focusing on since the start of this year. So sports, it's something we've been doing for, I think, about 18 months, and then we've brought entertainment and news into the mix since the start of this year. So in the Europe, Middle East and Africa region, we've got over 70 partners already. So you'll see Sky there, also BBC News, MTV. It's a really powerful collection of some of the most premium brands in media, and also a collection that we'd like to add to and we'll be focusing on for the rest of this year and beyond. So David from Sky mentioned Amplify, and actually we do have a Sky Sports example here because they're one of our best partners. Amplify is a sponsorship format which allows brands to add pre-roll videos to premium clipped content. So whether that's clipped from a live stream, so for example Sky Sports Football, or whether that's individual pieces of content from, say, a magazine brand like Glamour or an influencer, it's a really powerful way to reach a targeted audience who are in a mindset ready to receive it.
Welcome to Rogue One.
Lovely ball back from Mane to Divock Origi again. Wijnaldum, Woodburn! What a moment for the youngster! Just as he dreamed it, on his League Cup debut, the 17-year-old scores in front of the Kop. Well, he never had.
So there you'll see something that people want to watch right then and there. They want to talk about the goal, they want to talk about the match, and you can hit them with a relevant advert at precisely the right time. The second part of the puzzle is live, which is something that's a huge focus for us. So I don't know if you all have seen, all of the presentations are still out there and they're definitely worth a watch. Anthony Noto, our COO, presented at the New Fronts our slate of content coming up. So this is US content, some of it's global, most of it's US, and it's something that we're planning to replicate in the UK. If you are ever in the US, I would massively recommend opening up Twitter and going to the Explore tab, which is where you'll find the trends, because it's also where you'll find all of our premium video content, a lot of which is original. So you've got everything from the NBA to Bloomberg, who actually broadcast 24/7, down to Live Nation concerts. And what we're trying to do is produce a kind of 24/7 rolling, always on premium TV content. What we kicked off with in the UK was Transfer Deadline Day, which was rolling content, I think, for about 3 hours, complete with commentary. So it's rather than kind of double screening, it's everything you need in one app. So it's the very best commentary around that content, all in your Twitter app. The other ad format that we have that works particularly well with live is mid-rolls. So in exactly the same way as you'd have a TV ad break, mid-roll ads in live content is a really easy way to reach people who are engaged. So whether that's the same format as your pre-roll content or slightly longer, it's another format that really reaches people successfully.
We have heard a lot about this young man, Alex Hunter. I never expected anything like this. Alex Hunter, sheer class.
from EA Sports, who are the sponsors of the Premier League. So it's a really seamless experience to put a range of ads in, very connected to the content and the platform. The other thing to say about Live that we think is really powerful is that it's not just about the phone in your hand, it's also about the TV in your living room. So we have partnerships with all of these formats, with more to come. So we were actually Apple TV's App of the Year last year, and I think the NFL season live streaming was a very powerful part of what made that special.
From the 5 with a flag, and the ball comes out of the hands of Rodgers, and it's recovered in the end zone by Leonard Floyd.
He got the sack. He kept working just like he did previously, getting the sack, and got the football out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. What a rush by Leonard Floyd.
And Chicago has gone 35 games without a defensive touchdown. We'll see. We got the flag. Still got to sort it out.
He comes around really young. Leonard Floyd, how about this?
So it's a really powerful integrated experience that I'm really excited about bringing to the UK more and more. So in conclusion, Twitter is what's happening, and our audience in particular is powerful in the film and TV arena. They are a mass audience, they're influential, and they turn up to the cinema. Also, when they open Twitter, they're in the perfect mindset to appreciate your content. And that content, we believe, should be video, should be live, and it's something that is just as successful for editorial content as for adverts. Thank you.